Every roulette player eventually asks the same question: can a system really beat the casino? On this channel, we test real roulette strategies under real conditions, with real bankrolls, real wins, and real losses. But today, we're not testing a strategy. We're exposing the truth behind all roulette systems, the math, the myths, and why discipline still matters, even when the odds never change. Roulette looks random, and on the surface it is. Every spin, independent, unpredictable, uncontrolled. But underneath every spin, there is fixed math that never changes, no matter how smart the system seems or how confident the player feels. Let's start with the American roulette wheel. It contains 38 numbers 1 through 36, plus 0 and double 0. That means 38 possible outcomes every single spin. Now let's look at one of the most common bets, a straight up number. If you bet one number, the payout is 35 to 1. But wait, there are 38 numbers on the wheel, yet the payout assumes only 36. That small difference is where the casino advantage lives. That difference is called the house edge. And on the American roulette wheel, that edge is approximately 5.26%. That number may sound small, but over time it becomes unstoppable. Let's make this simple. Imagine betting $100 over many spins, not one spin, not 10 spins, but hundreds or even thousands. With a 5.26% house edge, the casino expects over time to keep about $5 for every 100 wagered. Not every session, not every day, but over time. That's the key phrase, over time. Some sessions, players win. Some sessions, players lose. But the longer the game continues, the more the math takes control. And here's the most important truth so far. No betting system, no progression, no pattern removes the house edge. Not martingale, not Fibonacci, not dozen systems, not street betting systems, not any combination of them, because the odds behind every spin remain exactly the same. If roulette math never changes, then why do so many systems appear to work? Why do players report wins, sessions in profit, sometimes even long streaks of success? The answer is simple. Most systems win at first. That's what makes them believable. That's what makes them dangerous. Let's talk about one of the most famous systems ever created, the martingale. The idea behind martingale is simple. You double your bet after every loss. Eventually, a win happens, and when it does, you recover all losses plus a small profit. On paper, it looks perfect. You lose 1 unit, then 2, then 4, then 8, until one win resets everything. And because roulette contains many nearly even bets, red or black, odd or even, high or low, players believe losing streaks won't last long, and many times they don't. You might play 10 spins and never lose more than twice in a row. That creates confidence. Confidence builds belief. Belief builds risk. And that's where systems begin to feel powerful. But here's the hidden problem. Roulette does not guarantee short losing streaks. In fact, long losing streaks are mathematically certain. If you play long enough, not likely today, not likely tomorrow, but inevitable over time. Let's imagine losing 8 times in a row. That may sound rare, but it happens more often than people expect. And with martingale, 8 losses means 1 unit, 2 units, 4 units, 8 units, 16 units, 32 units, 64 units, 128 units. Suddenly, you are risking massive amounts just to recover small losses, and eventually, one of 2 things happens. You reach the table limit, or you run out of bankroll. Not because the system failed, but because the math caught up. That's the moment most players never plan for. Here's another truth most players never hear. Roulette systems don't feel powerful because they win all the time. They feel powerful because they win often. That difference matters Many betting systems are designed to produce frequent small wins and occasional large losses. That pattern tricks the brain. Imagine winning 5 sessions in a row, each time walking away with profit. Your confidence grows. You feel smarter, more controlled, more disciplined. But those early wins don't change the math. They only delay the losses. This is why casinos don't panic when they see system players, because they understand something many players don't. Winning streaks are part of the losing process. Yes, you heard that correctly. Winning streaks are part of the losing process because they build belief, and belief leads to bigger bets, longer sessions, more exposure to risk. Eventually, every progression system meets a losing streak that exceeds its limits, and when that happens, all previous wins can disappear in minutes, not because the system is broken, but because the system never removed risk. It only delayed it. Let's talk about something many players underestimate: losing streaks. Not one loss, not two, but long sequences of losses in a row. For even money bets, like red or black, the probability of losing once is nearly 50%, losing twice, about 25%, losing 3 times, about 12%. But what about losing 8 times in a row? Still possible, still real, still inevitable if enough spins are played. And here's the truth: most players never calculate. You don't need extremely long losing streaks to destroy a bankroll. You only need one. That exceeds your betting limits. That's the weakness in every progression system. Not the first few losses, but the one loss that arrives after many wins. That single streak is what resets the session, or ends it completely. And once that streak hits, the system does exactly what math predicts. It fails. Not always quickly, but always eventually, if play continues long enough. Let's answer one of the biggest questions players have. What do casinos really think about roulette systems? Do they worry? Do they panic when players walk in using betting strategies? The truth is not what most people expect. Casinos are not afraid of betting systems, not martingale, not Fibonacci, not dozens betting, not progression strategies, because casinos understand something most players don't. Systems change bet size, but they do not change probability. Every spin still carries the same odds. Every bet still contains the house edge. And from the casino's perspective, players using systems usually stay longer. They feel confident. They feel structured. They feel in control. And that confidence often leads to longer sessions, more bets, and more total money wagered. From a business standpoint, that benefits the casino, not because the casino is cheating, but because the math was built into the game from the beginning. Casinos don't rely on luck, they rely on mathematics, and mathematics doesn't panic. It waits patiently until enough spins have occurred for the edge to take effect. That's why casinos don't ban system players. They don't need to, because the system itself still operates inside the same mathematical limits. But there is one type of player that casinos do watch carefully. Not system players, not progression users, not people following patterns. They watch advantage players, also known as math-breaking players. These players don't just change how much they bet. They change the information they use. They look for ways to shift probability in their favor. One example is card counting in blackjack. Card counters track which cards have already been played. When more high-value cards remain in the deck, the odds shift slightly toward the player. That small shift can create an advantage, not a guarantee, but a mathematical edge. Another rare example is roulette wheel bias tracking. Years ago, some players studied wheels carefully, recording thousands of spins, looking for patterns caused by mechanical wear or slight imperfections in the wheel. If certain numbers appeared more often, it meant the wheel was not perfectly balanced. That created opportunity. But modern casinos inspect wheels constantly. They maintain equipment carefully. And true wheel bias is extremely rare today. Some players have even attempted to use electronic devices to predict outcomes. These methods are illegal in many places, and casinos treat them very seriously because those methods attempt to change the math itself, not just manage risk. That is the difference. System players manage money, advantage players seek information, and casinos care deeply about information because information changes probability. Now here's where many players get confused. If systems don't beat the math, why does discipline still matter? Because discipline does something important even when odds stay the same. It controls exposure, it limits damage, it protects bankrolls, and most importantly, it prevents emotional decisions. Emotional betting is one of the fastest ways to lose money, not because of math alone, but because of reaction. Chasing losses, increasing bets without structure, ignoring limits, these behaviors destroy bankrolls faster than probability alone. Discipline creates boundaries, profit targets, stop-loss limits, session controls, and time limits. None of these beat roulette, but all of them slow down losses, stretch survival, and give players control over risk. That's why disciplined players often last longer, not because they are lucky, not because they discovered secret patterns, but because they manage exposure instead of chasing recovery. Here's the truth. Stripped down to its core, no betting system removes the house edge, no progression eliminates risk, no pattern changes probability. Roulette remains a game of mathematics, but discipline changes behavior, it controls risk, it protects decisions, and sometimes it allows players to walk away before losses become catastrophic, not because they beat roulette, but because they respected it. And in the long run, respecting the math is the closest thing to control that any player will ever have.